seems to me that anyone living in the United States, or even in Europe, I mean, this isn't purely an American phenomenon, has this feeling that there are a group of experts, a band of happy experts. And as experts will do, they derive enormous pleasure from telling the rest of us how to think, what doctrines to uphold, what positions to defend. And this conspiracy among experts, if it is delivered in small, manageable doses, for example, in a doctor's office, one is generally happy to receive it. Doctors know what you're talking about. Yeah, take an injection, that's fine. But as a cultural, as a social, as an ideological phenomenon, it gets on everyone's nerves after a while. I mean, what headline in any newspaper is more apt to provoke a sense of aggression and disbelief than "scientists say"? Now, you know what's coming afterwards. It's not the scientists saying anything. It's the political relations department of the scientific community, their publicity apparatus. They're telling the scientists what the scientists think they should say to the public. And within 24 hours, what serious scientists say has changed overnight. Look at the history of medicine over the last 50 years. One triumphant imbecility after another revealed to be a fraud. So there's a deep, and I think my words were well chosen, deep, hurt, perplexed sense of being oppressed by a scientific community that in many respects doesn't know what it's talking about. Not all, obviously not all, but in many respects. The boastfulness is what's so irritating.
And in this book, the particular form the boastfulness takes that you wish to refute is scientists saying, we've discovered that there is no God.
No.
And we know there's no God because we are scientists.
Exactly.
And you don't, all right.
Exactly.
Let me quote from The Devil's Delusion again, David. In many respects, the word naturalism comes closest to conveying what scientists regard as the spirit of science, the source of its superiority to religious thought. But what reason is there to conclude that everything is, to quote philosopher Alexander Byrne, an aspect of the universe revealed by the natural sciences? There is no reason at all, close quote. Now, you need to unpack that for us, but my layman's stab at it is, the sciences properly construed have access only to the material world, what we can perceive through our five senses, and there's no reason to suppose that that encompasses all the world or all of reality. Is that the right way?
I think that's a good way. It's a partial way. Certainly, I would reject the idea that the sciences have exclusive access to the material world. There are other ways of dealing with the material world. The Yankees don't train their pitchers in terms of material science. The development of the human body really is a part of the material world, but is not necessarily the focus of a group of science when we talk about performance in the arts. Mm-hmm. So there are other ways of accessing the material world. But the important thing is that these dominating terms, for example, naturalism, when you try to look at them more clearly, they turn out to be inordinately spongy. There's really nothing under the term itself. I mean, we all know that to be natural is somehow to be good. It's like a Swedish nudist documentary, all natural. See any number of Swedes prancing on a beach, that's natural. Oh, all right, it's natural. But what does the word mean? What does the word mean? And why should we pay such serious attention to scientific propagandists who wish to insist that only this kind of inquiry makes sense scientifically or makes sense intellectually? After all, mathematics is a paradigmatic case of a science that has nothing to do with natural anything.
So what I'm trying to reduce this to a layman's term. What you're saying there is, don't be overawed by someone saying, A, I'm a scientist, and B, I'm an atheist. Don't suppose that statement B derives any particular authority from statement A. That's what you're saying, right?
The comparable claim would be, A, I'm a scientist, B, I'm an expert on contract law.
Right.
Well, you're expert on contract law because you study particle physics? Give me a break.
Right.
Expert on the existence of God because you studied particle physics? I request the same break, the same suspension of belief, the same absence of commitment to whatever it is you're saying. And these guys are, of course, shameless. They're just shameless.
David, two quotations.